So how do we start? You go to make.powerapps.com, just like a normal way you can go to make.powerapps.com. You can see my screen, go to make.powerapps.com. That's just where to go. And then create a simple application as a new application. It takes you to your first screen. And ideally, you would have maybe wanted to start creating your application. The first thing you might want to do is have maybe some people use this rectangle. I don't use it. So, but I just want to use this to create a demarcation. Okay, so you might want to have your header here. Okay, this is going to be your header, and then you have another thing. That one is going to be your body, and then maybe you have another one. That one is going to be your footer. Now, some people like to have footers in their website, while some people don't actually, or their application, while some people don't actually put that. Now, this is for a regular tabbed application. If you're building a mobile or maybe a mobile application, something that looks like this, a portrait application. So if I go to my display and change it from landscape to portrait, if you're building this, okay, you will see that you might have something way similar, right? So if you are building something like this, sometimes you might want to create your menu at the lower part, the way you have a mobile, a full-blown mobile application. Okay. Now, in that case, you also want to create a component library that will help you achieve whatever you want. And I'm going to switch back to our regular landscape, and then I would initiate what I am about to create. And I'm going to remove all these things because now I use it to illustrate what you might want in your application. First of all, you click on the component. If you look at this tree view, make sure that you are on the tree view here. You see you have screen, and then you see that we have components. It is called component library. Okay, so if you go to the web and Zen type of components, now we have two components. Now we have the other component that is called the component framework. The component framework is a Canvas Power App framework. You can also use it for model-driven app. That's the difference between the component framework and the component library. Component library, you utilize it in the Canvas application. But the component framework, okay, you can use the component framework in both Canvas application and model-driven application for some of us that are used to model-driven application. Okay, let me see. This is component framework, this component library. Yeah, so if you have this link, one moment. Yes, this is fantastic. This is component library. One moment. Rookie, if you can also help me put this link in the chat, that would be really great. But I'm going to put this one up. Okay, so if you have some time, you can have a look at this. This is the component library, the one that we're discussing today. So come back here. So if you come here, I want to create a header, and I want to create maybe a side menu, right? All I have to do is, first of all, click on the new component. Again, second of all, after the first time selecting the component, the second thing is to create here. Now you can give it a beautiful name or any name that you want. For example, I myself am trying to create a side menu, and I want to create a top navigation. First is side menu, so I'm gonna call this side menu. You can call it anything you want, your business. Your decision, all up to you. Okay, and you will be wondering, what would this be doing for us in this application? It's going to do a whole lot of things, and the screen is very small. I want to have a full screen. Now this is my full screen. I want this component that I'm creating to be of my full screen. The simple thing you're going to do is select your screen. If you go to property here, you most likely are not going to see anything, but you can see them in the advanced property. So to get that, all you're looking for is the height. Now the height gives you this formula that says, give me the maximum height of this application based on the settings that we found here. So this is the setting. If you go to display, this is the height. The height says 16 by 9 or default. So you can also change this thing to anything you want. You can put a custom and then type a custom height like this. Okay, width and height. I'm going to set this back to what it is before. 16 by 9 default. Okay, so that is what is going to pick. Whatever you set there, what is going to pick here. So I'm going to take this and make it my height in a component. So this component, I'm going to look out here. I don't see height. Okay, yes, I see height. So this is my height. I select it. I remove this and I put this as my height. Now it sets this height just as exactly of what I want to be the height of my application. Now, if this height changes, the height of the component changes as well, based on the height of my app on my screen at any time. So feel free to always make this customization. Is always very important. Now, the width, I want the width to be maybe like 112 because I don't want it to be very the width to be very wide. Okay, because all I want is a sidebar. All right, and the next thing I want to do is put a container. So I'm going to search for a container. There are 3 types of containers. When you look, you have the horizontal container, you have the vertical container, you have the container. Now, the difference between these 3 containers is one. The first 2 at the top are responsive containers, and the last one is not a responsive container. Now, responsive in the sense that when you switch your screen, shrink it, make it smaller, the content is expected to change responsively. I mean, depending on how you create your application. Okay, so I'm going to use that static container because I just don't want anything to, but it doesn't mean that you cannot use responsive containers. I can also use responsive containers. They are really beautiful to use. Okay, so we are going to be doing a lot of customization if I put that, because I'm going to show you guys a lot. So it's easy to stick with this, and then I'm going to show you the basic things. I'm not like basic things, but even more advanced stuff. So I have expanded my height and my width, but sometimes if you're if you are making your application responsive, you don't want to depend on this thing that I just did. Okay, back to where we were. I added this container, and I was trying to explain to you that you want to make this dynamic. So always go to your height, change this to parent.height. It's very important. And parent.height. Okay, if you're not feeling anything coming in, just make sure you save your application. So parent.height, you call it app component. Okay, and let's give it some moment to save. Sometimes if this gives you an issue when you see this rolling for a long time, all you have to do is reload your page, because the session may have timed out. Okay, and I think I may be experiencing something like this. I may have to reload my page. I don't want this to take longer time than I expected. Okay, now starting again from the beginning. All right, so we come back here. This time around, I'm going to make sure that I save this so that we're going to start up from wherever we stopped at any time in the future. And then I'm going to add that new component. I call it side menu. Very important. And I'm going to put the height. Okay, just give this a moment. This seems to still be loading up. Save. Okay. Okay, while the height is loading up, let me add my container. Okay, so I'm gonna put in a container here, and I think my height is not yet up. I'm going to put in a container here. The container is going to be the screen, I think, and then I'm going to change the width of this to 112, just as I said in the past. And then I also put my container screen to be parent.height, parent.width. But since that container is not loading, I'm going to put this to 112 as well. 112. Yep. Okay. So now we have this saved. And when we go to our screen and we want to utilize this in the screen, all you have to do is go to the insert and you will see custom, a new thing that comes out of here. It's usually not here when you start. But the moment you have a component library, you will have this custom. So when you click on it, you will see the new component that you've created. Now, when you add it here, you will see that it's just the same size that you have declared in your custom component. Now, I can create multiple screens here. I can add another screen and then add a new component, and it's going to be just the same. So you see this is side menu 1 and this is side menu 2. If I go here, it's the same, and I go here, it's the same. Now, what I want to do is make these things menu. I have screen 1 and screen 2, which are already menu. I can also create a third screen just to make sure that this actually is moving well. And then I will add a new side menu here. And now we have these 3. Okay, remember, take this, the heights. Okay, take this, the height, and customize the height of your side menu. Okay, given that this is now available, I will put my height here, and you'll see that it has extended the height. If I save this and go back to my application, it would have extended the height. You've seen it. Initially, it was not this height. And if I go to all the screen, the changes also affected. Okay, one component, uniform change happened or occurred. All right, I'm going to take the height of this, and then I'm going to call it parent.height, and automatically it switches to the parent height. And if I go back to my main screen, and you see that everything is now uniform. Okay, no more breaking parts. The next thing I want to do is add customs or customizations inside here. I want to first of all say, okay, in this page I can create, I can add a user image, right? So I bring in an image and put it here, and I can place it nicely here. Size it, put it in the middle, or a place I feel is in the middle. You can use your functions to centralize this actually. And then I would make this, I will give the radius of 50, and the content of this image, I'm going to make it user.image. Okay, so there is a mistake here. Yes, now it looks like something good. Okay, but then the height is not really fantastic, so I'm going to make this the width 40 and then the height 40, so that it's going to be uniform. Now it looks good, and I can take it to the middle, to the center, and save. If I go back to my app screen, now I have this. To each of the screen, you see now I have this. Reusable. If I add a new screen here and also bring in my component library, you will see that you will notice that it is the same all the way. Okay, now sometimes you might have to ask questions. What if I want to have different things in this different screen? Yes, of course you can have different things. That is where you start customizing. And where does the customization start or continue? Back in your component. Now, let's say I want to have a navigation here. All I have to do is, now that I have this image, I would include a gallery item. And that gallery item will have to contain my navigation. But before I include that gallery item, I will define my navigation content. How do I define that? Click your component first and look at your component property by the right. all the way below, you will see where you have the custom properties. The custom properties is where you have the ability to define whatever you want to utilize within your component, or maybe you want your component to have so that you can utilize them in your application. First, I want to have a menu. Okay, so I will call this my app menu. And for an app menu is expected to be a collection of data or maybe a table, right? So I'm going to come to the property, leave this to be input. Okay, don't change this because you want to be able to provide an information that it will display. Now, what is the difference between the input and our output? Now, the input type is a property that can receive values from your application. But the output part will not receive any value from your application, but it is whatever you provide while in the component that it will provide to the application to use. The application will not be able to provide an information. That means it is a static. Now, when you say some things are constant, now output tend to be the constant value you send to your component so that you can use them in your application. But the input are variable. Okay, so you have the constant and then you have the variable. Now, that's the another way to put this. So input and output, whenever you want to be able to provide a customization or customized data to your component, please use the input and change your data type to whatever you desire to utilize. In this case, I'm creating a menu and it's going to be table. And I want to be able to reset the value when I click something. So I will have to raise the unreset value so that whenever I click something and then I have a value that I want to change within what I click, it should be able to take effect. Now, all I have to do here now is click on create. But before I click on create, please take note, names cannot have space in between. So automatically they are created for you. So if I put space, it will flag. You can only use letters, digits, or underscores. So I'm going to remove that space, click on create, and then at the right part of this place, you will see it created. If I click on this menu, it will see that it automatically generated a table, sample table for me. I can utilize this sample table to create what I want. Now, what do I want? I want to have a screen name. I want to have a go-to, that is a screen, the actual screen. So that's why I want to call it a go-to. And I want to most likely have an icon, okay? Screen icon or icon. Call it icon. Anything you call it is fine. But icon is a named constant. So I want to say screen icon. Okay, and this is not going to be true. So screen name, the first screen name is going to be screen one. So it's going to be screen one, right? Screen one. Yeah, I have a screen called screen one. And this is going to be my home screen. And the icon is going to be icon dot home. You can utilize you can import icons and use them here. I'm just using this. Okay, you can use anything. So I want to recreate this. Since I have 3 screens, I want to recreate this. So I have to add 1 and 1 more. So here we have screen 1, screen 2, and screen 3. And this is most likely home. Okay, can call these details, right? I can call this products, anything you want to call it, anything. And I can call this, I can change this icon to, what can I use here? Add library. I don't know what that is like, but then I think that sounds like something. Okay, so what is database? Okay, now I save this. It's a sample. Okay, and I've created this. All I have to do here now is add a gallery. Vertical gallery is fantastic. If you want to use a horizontal menu, that's when you need a horizontal gallery. So inside this gallery, I want to get rid of every single thing here, everything.